Today we are going to do an exercise in concentrating on the negative shapes. You have positive shapes, you have negative shapes. Positive, and the subject being my bike. Now the positive shapes is basically the bike itself, the crossbar, the wheels, everything that's a physical form, and the negative shape is the space in between. So here we go. I set the bike, it's in the sun and the background is dark, which makes it easier for me to use the background in explaining the object in the foreground, which is the bike. So here we go. And just take your time, and I'm looking at the space in between. That's the goal of this particular exercise. First, do everything in one tone. That's the background. Here we go. Take the eye up and down. In the beginning, it's very flat. In the end, it's very flat as well, but it will suggest the space. Just stick with it. Look at the space in between the objects. That's the most important thing. Bar that goes to the seat. It might feel strange. It's normally, lots of people see this as looking the other way around, but it's as informative as actually looking at the object. You will find out, you discover, and it does explain it. So here you've got the stump and inside of the wheel. Just take out elements. Up here. Just look each time at the shapes in between. You can even use the window there in the background to explain the shape of the handlebar. Yeah. First, just don't worry too much about making it all so perfectly shaded in. Put everything in one tone, and then you can follow with detail after that. Just get the basic abstract flat shapes. Go down, this is what's here. You can see a bit of the crossbar, but then you come and you see another shape. Just take, you don't have to draw the whole wheel in one go. I can see here the fork. But that shape in between the wheel and the fork is what I can use. It's almost as if you break it up into segments. You'll make mistakes, that is fine. As long as you're prepared to correct the mistakes when you've acknowledged them. Go. Background. There's the shadow coming down there. See, you'll be surprised how much the eye actually, the brain tells the eye about the form. You could just put the right shapes in and the eye will finish the rest off for you. Put that there. Just slowly. Comes down. Now I can see breaking that up again. You see the middle between the fork. Light's hitting that stem there, but there's a shape in between the wheel here. That is what I'm concentrating on. Even on this crude manner, your eye will still finish it. Here, it comes down. See the shadow, that shadow's going back and that hits the side of the wheel. Yeah, put that shadow in. That goes down here. shadow hits there, bottom of the wheel, that goes out. Let's take that all the way back to the back wheel. I can see a mark in between the mud guard, and then there's the pedal. But I'm looking at that inside shape all the time. Let's go down there. There's a shadow going back. All the time. Look, there's a shadow going across in through the wheel. It hits here. Then comes the wheel, and the shadow continues to here, and the same going back there. And there. Well, put it back in there, just get the background back in. Oops. Now, I'm doing this quickly because I want to do the demonstration roughly for 4 minutes. So you're not looking at me drawing all day. But the principle is the same. Like, this is the first stage. There's a shape. Look in between this shape. What's going on? I can see a lot of crisscrossing from the spokes, but it's basically just there, just enough of a curve to suggest the wheel. Look at the inside shape, the negative shape, and the positive shapes will come for themselves, actually. Yeah. Now, hold on a second. We've got the lovely shadow coming now over here from the tree behind me, which is going to help explain not only the floor, but the front of the wheel. This one goes out, round, there it goes, shadow hops over, explains the floor and the wheel. So, look back there. It's all about suggestion, basically. And when you draw in this manner, when you actually look at this shape, it's probably the clearest example here. You realise that this shape here and this shape here helps explain this shape, and this shape. That is the first step in understanding that drawing is basically, drawing from observation in any case, is about looking at the physical world and translating it into shapes. And this is factually a shape. It's not a bike, it's shapes that look a bit like a bike, I hope, at the end of this. Okay, let's have a look. Very importantly, oops, that was wrong, doesn't matter. When you're doing this, you've got to stand back at a certain point and see what you've done. That's a very important aspect of it. You get a literal distance on what you're doing. Now, I could now, with my rubber, work back into this, and I could think, okay, look, so it goes up, that one crosses down here, that goes back a bit more actually. Let's have a look, put that back in there again. So this drawing started with concentrating on the negative shapes, which then in turn explain the positive. Negative and positive have absolutely nothing to do with one's good, one's bad, of course. It's just merely a way of trying to explain how to understand the physical world when translating it, as I'm doing right now, into shapes. There you go. Put that one down there. See what's going on. And zoom in.